What up, everybody? An RIP to a legend in the Power universe, Monet Tejada. One of the most underappreciated characters in the whole Power universe, in my opinion, and understandably so, because she is pretty much who replaced Ghost. And if Omari would have got paid what Mary J got paid, Ghost would probably still be on the show. But with that said, I think we'll look back in a couple years and see Monet Tejada as one of those iconic characters like a Ghost or a Kanan, or outside of the Power universe like a Nino Brown or a Tony Montana. And Monet's final scene did kind of remind me a little bit of Tony's death scene, an instant classic with Machiavelli's Hail Mary playing in the background, then ultimately sacrificing her own life to save her son Cain. And I'm not gonna lie, that scene hit me deep in my soul, getting me to my episode breakdown clues and exactly how we got to this point. The start of the episode, Tariq, Diana, and Effie were in the classroom at Stansfield about to take their written exam that made up for half of their grade. At this time, Effie received an email from the Stanford admission department letting her know that she had been accepted into their robotics program. But Diana didn't even write her name on the paper and just walked out the classroom. She later told Drew that she can't focus on school because everything that has happened, and that she has a feeling that she has lost something. After class, when Tariq got back to his dorm, Braden was laying on Tariq's bed with his shoes on, stalking Elle's page, who he still hadn't heard from since he confessed to killing Steve to her. At this time, Tariq got a call from Carter letting him know about a rogue dealer in Staten Island operating an abandoned amusement park that he needed to go check out and get Carter a name. Later in the episode, after Kane and Noma's rehearsal dinner, Noma sent Monet to the same trap, saying that they needed a clean slate and she had products stashed away at an amusement park that Monet could have. She first tried to let Monet know that she was going to let her back in the game, but all Monet wanted was for her kids to be taken care of. But when they got to the amusement park and were about to get killed by the Russians, Drew and Diana showed up and saved them. This is because Drew's crew let him know that Carter had Tariq doing a run in Staten Island. Then later, Effie came into the bar and mentioned that the Russians were going to Staten Island around the same time that Janet just got done telling Diana that Noma had Monet doing a run in Staten Island. But two big questions to ask is, who told Drew's crew about Tariq, and who was the random Russian who told Effie about the Russians going to Staten Island? Because this trip was supposed to be top secret. Tariq and Monet then used Carter and Noma, thinking that they were dead, to their advantage and faked their deaths by putting the Russians in Monet's G-Wagon and lighting it on fire. At this time, they also cut off the Russians' fingers and took out their tooth. I know that they took out their tooth so they couldn't identify the bodies, but I'm not sure about the fingers. Someone who might know what that was all about, let us all know in the comments section. The next day, Noma went to talk to Carter about why Cain hadn't got the news about his mother. And at this point, Carter and Noma clashed a little bit. This is because they're both used to being the top dog and not taking orders from anybody. But Noma was definitely right this time that they should have confirmed that Tariq and Monet were actually dead. The previous night at the rehearsal dinner and the bachelor party, we got our introduction to a couple new characters. First off, at the rehearsal dinner, we got our introduction to Noma's brother. Noma's brother's name is Chinadu, and he told Noma that he was her biggest supporter, but he didn't approve of Noma marrying Cain. Neither does Chinadu know that Noma killed her ex-husband, either though I think he does suspect that she did. He also mentioned their father back in Nigeria, so now that we've been introduced to Noma's brother, the new mystery is now her father. Chinadu also mentioned that Noma's business was not just her business, but a family business, adding to my suspicion that Noma's family runs the Nigerian mob and her father is likely the Godfather. At the dinner, the Tejada family showed up and made a mess like the Tejadas are known for doing at dinners. The best part was when Monet told Chinadu that she knew Mecca. Not to mention that Anya and Diana were sitting at the same table together and they don't even know about each other. Then after this dinner, Cain and Monet shared a moment. It was at this point I knew for sure Monet was done. Cain told Monet she was acting like she was on Real Housewives at that dinner. Like he told Drew he wasn't going to be a real NBA housewife in season 3. At Kane's bachelor party, we got our introduction to Bronze, played by Lil Durk, who is from Atlanta, and he is Monet's cousin Janet's son. Bronze mentioned something about having the largest drug empire in the world to Kane, and the other cousin said that Bronze be wildin' out in Atlanta. I don't think we've seen the last of Bronze and Janet in the Power universe either. I think this was definitely a clue of what's to come. At the bachelor party, we also found out that Drew has an opportunity to go to Paris and do art. And that's when Effie came in talking about the Russians, and after she hooked up with Kane, and Kane told her that he wanted to be like Bumpy Johnson, Frank Lucas, and Nicky Barnes. Effie told Kane about Callie and that she wants out for good, but Kane told Effie that the game's for life, but he would try to talk to Noma. Effie then stormed out and went to the hallway to cry. And while Kane was hooking up with Effie the night before his wedding to Noma, Noma was hooking up with Davis McLean. The next morning, Tariq, Davis, Monet, Diane, and Drew all met up to come up with a plan to take out Carter and Noma. During this meetup, Tariq was asking about Kane, but the rest of his family thought it was best to leave him out of the loop because they didn't know if he would turn against Noma or not. This was the mistake that ultimately cost Monet her life. But for Tariq's side of the plan, he was going to need the help of Effie and Brayden. When he met up with them, Brayden told Tariq that he wants all the wars. And we also learned that Effie still doesn't know that Diana lost her baby because she mentioned Tariq having a kid on the way. When Tariq said this was the past, I'm not sure if Effie realized that that meant that Diana lost the baby or not. But Effie was forced to help because Bruchandria is telling everyone that Effie's leaving for California. Bru was sitting 2 seats down from Effie when she read this email, so I'm guessing that Bru looked over at her phone or something, because Effie was the one who told Diana that telling Bru her business was stupid. Unless Tariq found out some other way and remembered what Effie said and then used that to manipulate Effie into helping. But regardless, if Effie really wanted to get to Cali and from under Noma's thumb, she was going to have to help anyway. Effie and Brayden were responsible for knocking out the security guard and the priest, blacking out the security cameras, and running the church members away. While Tariq was supposed to wait in the confessional and grab Carter and throw him in Monet's trunk to be disappeared. But Carter had the trump card, the footage of Tariq killing Zion to distract Tariq and take the gun from him and threw him in the back of his car. So Brayden and Effie had to leave immediately to tell Monet, and I don't even know if she ever blacked out the camera or not because of that. They let Monet know that Carter called Noma, and Monet rushed to the reception to rescue her family. Brayden was high as a kite and saved Tariq again by crashing into the side of Carter's car and running it into a truck, knocking out both Carter and Tariq in the process. Tariq specifically told Brayden not to be high on this mission, but when Effie reminded him of that, he told her that Tariq says a lot of things. And I don't know for sure, but I definitely feel like I've heard Tommy say this about Ghost before, or at least something very similar. Effie and Brayden then took both Carter's car and Brayden's car with Carter and Tariq, who were both knocked out, to the same garage or whatever where they met up earlier in the episode. And when Carter woke up, he told them if his team doesn't hear from them, they'll burn down the whole city looking for him. So now they got to come up with a plan on what to do with Carter before his team tracks him down. But it's not that easy because they have a whole car to deal with, and more importantly than that, the tape that Carter has of them killing Zion. Personally, I'm taking my chances and smoking Carter and disappearing him and getting his car towed to the junkyard to be demolished. But then again, they don't have the inside information that we got, that Carter has the only copy and nobody else even knows about it. Around the time that Tariq and them were waiting for Carter, Davis had to distract one of Noma's security guards who was about to tell her that Vadim wasn't answering his phone. Davis took this man to a spot very similar to where Ghost and Tommy took Lobos when they killed him in Power. Davis told this guy this was the last place anyone saw Vadim, but the guy took his gun and Davis then had to kill the man, then dragged his body somewhere. Then he showed up at Noma's wedding a little bit later. But while everything was going down at the reception, Davis was nowhere to be seen. Maybe he went back to that location to bury the body. Then, later at Kane's wedding reception, Noma's giving him the news that he'll have to choose between her and Monet, and when he pushed her away, Chinadu calls the diversion, throwing money, and getting the DJ to play dance and music. At this point, they show Kane that they had all his family getting taken away by guards, even his cousins, before Chinadu and Noma took Kane away, And this was very reminiscent to how Ghost and Tommy got the upper hand on Milan at Truth before taking him away to kill him. But while everyone else was distracted, who wasn't distracted was Anya. Anya is very observant and watched the whole thing go down. Anya might be uppity, like Monet said, but one thing about her is that she has a gangster born in her and doesn't even know it, just like Kanan said about Tariq. When Kane was tied up, we then found out that he's now the majority owner of Noma's company, which is real bad news for Noma moving forward. Noma had also told Kane that Ice was watching everything, and during the shootout, everyone heard gunshots and ran out. So that's going to be even more problems for Noma moving forward. And Kane told Noma that he would never turn his back on Monet, that she was the only person who had his back when he was growing up in the streets. And Monet heard the whole conversation after saving Drew and Diana and wiping out a bunch of Noma's men. What I don't know is if Monet saved Bronze and the rest of the cousins or not. So that might actually be what Noma uses for leverage with the Tejadas in episode 10. And that's when Monet stepped in and saved Kane like I started the video talking about. Again, R.I.P. to Monet Tejada, a real legend who went out like a straight G. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.